She, thank you very much, and Snehal, yeah, good evening to all, and I'm really happy to see more than 350, almost 375 participants for the webinar. Well, uh, I really good to know the issue with social media. I mean, it's basically killing the privacy of anybody. I mean, if you are a socially, so I mean, if you are in the social media, you'll not be able to find, you'll not be able to secure your privacy. That is what I was observing in that particular small video. Anyway, once again, thank you very much for your kind introduction. I'm not going to correct all the points which were stated about me, but it's a different story. But beyond everything, thanks for identifying me as a young chap. Well, I'm now 40, into 40s and 43 now. So, it's really happy to call people me as a young lecturer. Yeah, even though I'm still the youngest professor in civil engineering, it's a different story. And thank you very much for inviting me, or rather introducing me as an inventor, more than an inventor, as an innovator who has taken the inventions beyond the patent certificate and given that to the community. So that is what I'm going to discuss with you. So the challenge given to me was a little bit complicated and a little bit different, because the idea is to change the minds of young communities towards invention and innovation. It's not that easy. Like, I mean, let's say if somebody asks, okay, please, let's say the Pandit 𝕄𝕚𝕟𝕤𝕤𝕤 is still alive, we'll assume that particular great personality is still alive. If you go to him and say that, please teach me how to sing, I don't think he will be able to do that, because it's a born talent. So similar to that, the creativity and being creative is basically a bold talent. You will not be able to develop the creativity, or rather teach the creativity, because the talents and your skills cannot be basically come to your genes. So I'm not, my objective is not to teach you the creativity and being innovative, being inventive, but I'm trying to share some of my thoughts and the experiences with you. And whoever have that particular boon talent, you can become a better person than me. So that is my prime objective. So in that particular video, sometimes being in a private university, you may not happy to see I was fighting for the state education. Yes, I'm still fighting for the state education and the betterment of Sri Lankan education system. That doesn't mean I'm a person who's against the private education. I was 2-3 years ago, I came to your university to rather evaluate your civil engineering degree. That was, I think, 2018 or 17. So I came to university at 𝕬𝕟𝕤𝕤𝕤𝕤. So I found, I saw your premises. I'm sorry. Today the everything is online thanks to the technology and thanks to COVID. But I have a good memory with your university, and I have very good friends of mine who are working with SLP campus, who are very innovative, very creative, very dynamic chaps, who are known to me, who are very close to me. I'm not going to tell their names, because otherwise, if I start telling their names, that is in a way I'm doing an injustice if I miss at least 1 or 2 names. So there are good people from Peradeniya, Moratuwa working with you. So glad to come to another session now with your university. So it's a pleasure for me. So keeping that note, let me share my screen and start my presentation with you. The topic given was something, but I'm going to talk about. Yes, I'm going to talk about invention, innovation towards the community. So that is what I'm going to discuss with you today. Can someone, Harushi or Sonal, can you just give us a quick shout to say whether I'm audible and my slides are visible. Anyone? Am I visible and am I audible enough?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll straight away move to the lecture. My idea is, okay, I'll give a small brainstorming and sort of ice breaking towards these three different topics: innovation, invention, and the community. So that is what I'm going to discuss with you today. And then afterwards, if time permits, I really love to see or rather answer some of the, or rather takes one or a few questions raised by you based on this or based on anything you have, and drive this discussion in a fruitful manner. You have a big idea behind this particular session, and you count me at any time for anything. There's a message. I don't know whether that's for me. Yes, it's not for me. Right. So idea is to talk about innovation, invention towards community. So first instance, I think I should be, I mean, that's why I put this towards in the same slide, innovation and invention. There are many people who really misunderstand the meaning of invention and innovation, and they think invention and innovation are the same word, or rather having the same meaning. To tell you, invention and innovation have very complicated, complex, two different definitions. I will explain them later down the line, but keep that in mind. Invention, innovation, they are not the same word. There are two different terminologies having two different meanings. And if you are to say that you are a successful inventor, I think without taking them into the community, you can't say you are a successful inventor. Please understand. You can hold thousands of and millions of patents under your name, but if you are not capable enough to take that particular novel idea to the community for money or free of charge or some other way, if you can't take that to the community, please don't call you as an inventor, because I mean your product has no meaning. So keep that in mind. Let me take you to with my slides. Because I have I told you the organizers also, they wanted me to do a different change or shift in the presentation. I'm definitely trying my level best. I don't know whether I'll be able to achieve it, but I will try my level best. So invention, innovation towards the community. So as a start, I thought I'm going to I should show you the first invention competition happened in the world. Let me start with this. I usually show this slide whenever I go there and go and talk about invention and innovation. Interesting uh, image. So this is the first science fair or invention competition happening in the world, and whoever the judges have selected the first, second, and the third. I don't know who are the judges, whether they are fair enough to judge, whether they have the capability of judging an invention. It's a different story. But finally, they have blessed the first and the second and the third inventors, or the best inventors in the world. I'll start with the third. The third place go to the pointing stick, the person who found the pointing stick. So you have a timber, the pointing the stick, or pointing, make that point, got the third place in the invention or the science competition happening in the world. So you can see, you just try to link the modern day inventions with what I'm talking. You will see the base of many of the modern day techniques or the inventions or innovations are based on these first, second, and the third. Second place, I mean, he was not really happy with the giving the first award to that person, but still the second place goes to the fire. So the person who invented the fire got the second place. The first place goes to the wheel. The person who invented the wheel got the first place. I don't want to argue whether the first and the second and the third really deserve to get these positions, but I can tell you these are the best three ever inventions or the developments happen in the world throughout the history. So I know it's a cartoon, I know it's a serious joke, but still there are a lot for you to understand, because you need to understand the base of whatever you do. So you will just get your computer, do something. You have books and theories here and there. You get them all. You put them all into a single basket, you mix them all, you get the final output. Well, that is called bucket chemistry. With the bucket chemistry also, you'll be able to get come up with inventions. But if you know the foundation, life will be very easy. So whatever you do throughout the history, the base is basically the history. So that is where I thought of starting my discussion. And also, when I talked about the creativity, invention, innovation, and the community, how this community interact into this particular business, I'm going to explain that with another live or living example from Sri Lanka, that is this 𝕬𝕟𝕟𝕬𝕣𝕖 burial location. I know, I'm very sure, I mean, when I was a kid, and even now today, I used to go and see these ruins in everywhere. Wherever I go, I really love to see these ancient structures, not in Anuradhapura, even this British era, or even this Portuguese and Latin era. I mean, if there's something for me to understand, I really love to go and see them. But this particular the burial location is going beyond what we all know, that is going beyond the Anuradhapura era, and this has a history of more than 2,700 years. So this particular location is going back to 2,700 years back. So you can compare the time of this versus the known history. You can take Lord Buddha, you can take Jesus Christ, all of them born after the history of this location. So that is about the history. But let me get the real. I mean, I'm trying to link this with my topic: invention, innovation, and the community, or the towards community. Before that, let me explain this particular location. You can see, and I told you it's a burial site. Burial means, I mean, once someone died, that is what you are going to do in this particular location. Let me explain how these people reacted to a dead body. What they first did was they get the dead body, they burn it, convert that solid to ash, and they put this particular ash into a big pot like what you can see at the center, and that particular pot was taken and placed between two stone plaques, and the top was again covered with a stone slab. So that is how they created this burial location. You can see there are some one or two family burials where you have more than one part. So that is definitely, obviously, a family burial location. So whatever said and done, this particular location was survived more than 2,700 years. That is the beauty of this, and that is the reason for me to talk about this location. So about the invention, the creativity, and the technology, we will take them later. But before that, I want you to compare this versus the history, or rather do a small comparison between Sri Lanka and this age with another country. The closest is India. Those who knows about the Buddhism, when at Lord Buddha's time, when a person died in India, there are a lot of this Pansi Panas Jataka, there are a lot of stories. In many of these stories, if a person died in a village, what they did was they take the body, wrap the body with a cloth, wool cloth, and they just throw that to the jungle, where the jungle animals, they came and ate the body. So that is how the Indian people respected the dead body. You compare, or rather, you try to get the same sense from Sri Lanka. Nowadays, people don't respect the humanity. Sometimes you may have seen people meet with accidents. Sometimes people will be cut into pieces on the road. Sometimes shot dead on the road. What our people does is they get the mobile phone and do a live streaming. So you compare that humanity, the wetness in their heart, with the people who lived 2,700 years ago. The people who lived in 2,700 years ago, they knew how to respect even a dead body. Right? So that is the point you need to understand. So whatever the technology, whatever the creation you have, if you can't really link that with the community, you are a person who doesn't have a value on what you have developed. So From that, I'm moving to the creativity and innovativeness of this thing. When you talked about inventions, you have inventions, the product and the processes, and at the same time, there are copyrights given to your designs. So I'm starting with the creativity, the designs. In Sri Lanka, we have these industrial designs. You still can get your hold your intellectual property, not to the product, not to the process, but the shape, maybe of maybe the shape, maybe the arrangements. So for that also you can claim the intellectual property that we call industrial designs that we can discuss later. But the creativity, that is what I want to pick from this particular slide. You can check the center, this big pot, the clay pot. It's about 2 to 2.5 feet high with a thickness of 10 to 12 millimeters, and you can see the symmetricity. You have a symmetrical plane, and wherever you go, you have the symmetricity. This symmetricity cannot be existing with the small thickness without knowing one, that is the circular motion. So they knew about the wheel, they knew about the Sakapuru, otherwise they will not be able to make a pot like this. So just imagine the people who lived in Sri Lanka, they knew all these technologies. That's how they created. And beyond that, you see, you try to understand the creativity of these people by looking this burial location and keeping that for more than 2,700 years. That's why we and you and I talked about this particular location. So that is about the creativity. About the technology, you talked, you think about the clay and the mud. I mean, those who have played with clay, they know that every mud cannot be taken, every clay cannot be taken to make pots. You have to select the correct material. Finding the correct material and the correct process is part of the technology. That is number one. They learn, I mean, they never went to a university, they never went to school, but they learn all this stuff from the nature, by just practicing, by experiencing, right? Gathering through the experience, passing the experience through their gene line. The other one is they knew by changing the temperature, by rather burning the clay, they can keep this particular pot for many years. They never wanted to keep it for, I'm very sure they never wanted to keep it for 2,700 years, but still these pots are existing. So they knew by changing the temperature, they can change the properties of the clay. How they knew it? I mean, did they went to a school, go to school, to a university? No, they learn, they experience from the nature. Maybe there was a bushfire somewhere, so the near the burn tree, the soil is different than the other soil. So with that experience, they learn, okay, by changing the temperature with fire, you can change the properties of the material, that is clay. So like that, they started learning things from the nature, and from the knowledge they gathered from the nature, with the strong foundation they had, they started creating stuff towards the community. So beyond everything, they knew about the sustainability and the adaptability. Being sustainable is one, being adaptive is another thing. So you will be able to understand the difference. I mean, how much you say, if you are not adaptive enough, you again will not get much out of what you know. So that is about one particular experience, or rather example from the history. So you will be able to get millions and billions of examples from the history. I mean, I'm not going to call these names and start explaining how they have done about the technology. They studied the nature, they studied the local topography, they studied the local landscape, they studied the local contours, and they studied the natural material. And with the natural material, by slightly modifying them, they managed to create stuff which can last more than 1,000, 2,000 years. So it's a miracle. I mean, people will come and say that, I mean, these foolish Sri Lankans are talking about Ravana, and this 𝕬𝕬𝕤𝕤, but they are not good. They are not going beyond that. Yes, we don't have to go beyond that. It's a different, I mean, going beyond that is a different story, but still, everybody should be able to understand and value the knowledge which we had. I mean, that was never existing in the world. At the same time, still, Still, some of these techniques are not known to many of the people in the world. So that is the history which we had in the past. Right. So that is about the technology. So I'm moving you into the other interesting area, that is the food and agriculture. So being self satisfied or self sustained was just a dream, or rather, it is a dream today. And many people say that Sri Lanka cannot be self sustained. Well, I mean, that is another bullshit spreaded by the foolish politicians. I mean, they wanted to anyhow send these things to our brain and say that, okay, you need to be a dependent person. You definitely have to depend on India. You definitely have to depend on America. You definitely have to depend on China. Those are all bullshit. I mean, we had a strong history where we had our own technologies, our own creative stuff, which no one else would ever think of achieving. One can say, I mean, well, in those Anuradhapura and Puranarira, we had about 100, 200 odd people, and they went to the jungle. They picked something from the jungle and they lived and they died at the end of the day. Well, I'm not going to believe that. If you just compare, or rather start thinking about the first slide I showed you, I mean, can you ever believe those were done by 100, 200 odd numbers of people? Well, I'm not going to believe. There were millions of people living in Anuradhapura and Purannaru area, but they never started destroying what they had. They knew about the real sense of sustainability. Sustainability is not just destroying everything and do whatever they want. No, that is not the sustainability. They enjoyed their life. They got the maximum, but they make sure they keep the next generation to achieve their happiness. So that is the sense of real sustainability. So that is what our ancient people did, and they did the minimum harm to the environment as well. So from that, let me take to the other slide, that is about the medicine. I mean, that is very much important these days. I mean, we all are stuck at our own places without any hope. People, they just die every day. We get about 200 300, that is a number shared by the Minister of Health, but nobody knows the exact numbers. But still, everybody knows that every house, every corner, one dying every day. So well, that's a different story. That's why I wanted to pick this particular medicine topic. We simply disregard the strong medicine culture we had in Sri Lanka. Thanks to these foolish so-called Vedamahatyas in Sri Lanka, who comes with this Tela and Pania, we lost the real stem and the strength of the Hela Vedakama. I'm not really talking about the Ayurveda medicine which came from India with King Vijaya. Before King Vijaya, we had kings who even managed to help animals, right? So that is how our people started believing ourselves. So that's about the medicine. I mean, if I'm allowed to talk about all these three topics, I can talk hours and days and days. It is not enough. So we have, I mean, one thing I want to emphasize, one thing I want to stamp is that through about the technology, food and agriculture, and medicine, or whatever you take, any topic, I can say we have and we had a better knowledge than all these people. But unfortunately, we never value our history. We never value our beliefs. We never value the facts we had with us. And finally, I mean, there was a forceful attempt by these politicians to destroy our mindset, because they are a set of people who can't do much. And finally, they wanted all these 22 billion of the country to be nothing and doing nothing and just begging from the other countries. But please, the next generation, you are people who are watching this particular program, more than 300 or 400 number of people, please keep that in mind. We still can make this country. That is not by these foolish politicians who just day and night talk here and there. You people, you keep the hope, you start loving the country, you start loving what we have, what is there in your gene, you can change the country. And I'm really, really waiting until the day you come and change the country. That's about what we had in the past. So from that, uh, let me take you to my childhood and your childhood, because I mean, if you want to be a innovative character, if you really want to be, if you really want to create something, you should understand the community you are going to serve. If you are to understand the community, you can't do that by staying in a inside the air conditioning room. So you need to go to the community without knowing the sense of the community, without understanding what the community needs. You can't be a creative person. I'm sorry to say, I know many of you was not really experienced will not really experience your life, especially the community, the people around you. I personally, I mean, I know I have learned a lot from my parents and what I learned at the university and the school, because I mean, they gave, I mean, through their experience, I don't have to experience with my hands. I'm basically learning and reading them, especially my parents, my neighbors, even, I mean, whoever met, who I meet in the society, I started copying, I started learning from them. So that is how you can become innovative. So if you are not willing to go to the community, if you are not willing to read the community, I'm sorry to say, how much you are creative, you can't come up with the invention or innovation which the public will accept. You can create something, you can invent something, you can go to the intellectual office in the in Sri Lanka, or even you can go up to the international or rather another country, and you can pull the patent, you can pull the intellectual property. But I'm sorry to say, those cannot be converted to a innovation if you are not working with communities. So just a small comparison for you to understand what I'm telling. This image, I mean, I still can remember when I was a kid, with the school uniform I used to play after the school. So when mother comes from the office, she take me, and she wanted me to do the study. So that is my childhood versus your childhood, or rather the modern day, the modern kid. Sometimes actually they don't have experienced the real nature, real playground, because they are very much busy with their mobile phones and the tab and the computer. So sometimes mother has to pull them out to see the nature. So that is the difference between my childhood and your childhood. But if you, let's say, if myself, if I have to make some invention, I don't think I'll be able to do that by just memorizing, or rather going back to my childhood. I need to understand and read the modern day mother and the father and the kid. So if I'm trying to develop something to match my childhood, that will not be accepted, read, or rather wanted by the modern day communities. So that is about one. So let me show you another thing. This is about getting the sky experience. So I still can remember, these are the days after Yalakanya, before going to the Maha. What we have a very flat paddy fields. So everybody at our age, we used to make a kite and fly the kite in the sky. So that was one of our hobbies, especially in this year, this time where you have quite good wind blowing, and the field, you have nice fields where you can just run without any obstacles. So while doing this particular exercise, that was a hobby. I mean, that was a funny game for us. But with that particular game, we learn a lot, and that learnings, that experience matters a lot when you are doing something today as inventors, as engineers. I mean, starting with selecting the correct material, keeping the balance, tasting stuff, and making this net, the tail of the sarungolia, the kite. So all these things gave us a lot of things to learn. And sending the kite up without making it Korea, in Sinhala we say Korea Gahana. So without doing that, sending a kite to the sky is a real challenge. You can make a kite, but they will come down faster than going up. So if you are to create a kite, and if you are to fly the kite in the sky, you have to learn a lot. You have to fail a lot to get the correct kite in the sky. But today, you don't need any of these stuff. You can have a drone, right? You have a drone and you have a joystick, right, with two arms. So using them, you will be able to fly a kite now, right? A remotely operating kite. You don't have a string connecting here and there. It's invisible connection between the two devices, and you are flying beyond what I got as a child from my kite. You have a camera now, bird eye view. You can go up and you can see what is happening below, right? So you have a lot of added experience. Even you can do the same thing in the night as well. Very recently I used these drones in the night time to trace wildlife in jungles for a project. We are using the thermal imaging. So they capture the temperature of body, and they will create they will artificially, actually they can't see, but they are reading the temperature, and they can tell where the animal is, and you can sense the size, you can get the size and sense whose animal is by this thermal imaging. So that today's the world is really advanced. So, but the sad story is, by flying a drone, you will not be able to get the same experience as what we get by flying a kite in the sky. So that is the difference between my childhood and your childhood. Yes, from that to another, well, the exercises, well, I don't know whether the kids have gone to a gym or wants to keep your body shape and the body size and the figure yeah, in the way it should be. But I know the way, I know if you just compare our parents and modern day parents, I mean, our parents, they never went to a gym, they never went for jogging, but they managed to maintain their body healthy and the shape in the proper way. But today morning they have to go for jogging, afternoon after the work they have to go to the gym. These days it's very complicated because you can't jog, you can't go to the gym, so the parents are in house. So once the officers started, sometimes some of the people will not be able to recognize because they are bulging, they are eating, and they don't have a way of burning the calories. But if you are, again, I'm showing them, because you have to understand the community, you have to read the community, you have to read to whom you are going to serve with your invention, with your creativity. I mean, this is very famous about the TV. The people, when I was a kid, we had bigger TVs, but today those are flat, and your tummy is now big. So the world is going to change every day. From this, let me slightly jump to the world today and the modern world, and compare the same with what I was talking from the past. Starting with the technology, I mean, you will not be able to find a single thing which you can't do with your mobile phone. If you are a master, I mean, we had I still can remember when I was a kid, this the mobile phone, those days we call cell phone, right? Cell phone, because of one particular company who was selling the telephones, the mobile phones to Sri Lanka. So it came as a bundle bargain. The size was this much, right? It had multiple options. Like, you know, if you are chased by a dog, you still can use the phone for that, but they never use, because that was really expensive. So only the rich people and the politicians are managed to hold a mobile phone. But today, everybody, I think more than the population of the country, we have sold a smartphone to the smartphone in this country. So you find anything that will be there inside your mobile phone. A degree will be here. You talked about any professional, doctor, engineer, architect, whoever, they will be inside your mobile phone. You won't believe there was one app developed by I think some USA company, where you go to the washroom, and with the outlets from the urinals, they sense, and the mobile phone can detect your illnesses. And there was another app developed by American University, where you go and just inhale to the phone. With that, the phone will be able to detect what are the illnesses you have in your body. So the technology is that much advanced. You have stepped into the moon, and people are thinking of going to the Mars as well. So the world is completely changing. The technology every day is changing. We talked about the agriculture. I was talking about agriculture. Yes, we have agriculture. I never learned about planting something without soil. Today it's all like hydroponic. Well, you add a little bit of fish. You call aquaponics. So the world cross section is changing drastically. Well, we have 7.8 billion population living in the world. So you need more and more food. The scientists, they changed the genes of animals and they created nice creatures. Is no more a bull. So there's another creature. You have seen a lot of hawks in your life. Two types mainly. Both has two legs. One is with wings. The other one without wings. The without wings people are mainly going in buses. The with wings are in cages. Different story. But this particular hawk case completely different to the those two hawks I was referring. When I was a kid, the broiler chicken industry was 48 days. But today, you believe me, it is only 16 days. This size of egg to a 2.5 kilos or 5 pounds of a meatball, that will take only 16 days. You can think how much the science is advanced. So within 16 days, this creature can't even think of dying. It will be killed and sent to you. In chicken industry, the biggest problem, or rather the biggest problems are, one is to keep this particular creature, the meat bowl, healthy until it was killed. The other one is removing the feathers once it was killed. So for that task, so they found a solution. They created a creature or a hawk without feathers. So you can see how much we are advanced with the technology. About the medicine, yes, you think of any disease today, tomorrow you will be able to get the drug. We were we were very scared of corona, and we thought, okay, that will be the end of the world. But now today, you can say there are a lot of vaccines coming, and we have a choice of selecting which vaccine is we are going to we have to get. So we are much more fortunate. And sometimes you will get the drug, and the drug supplier, they will realize the disease is not there in the country. We are so fortunate as developing countries. The next plane, they will deliver the disease as well. So that is about the technology today. I'll not be able to complete this particular presentation without talking one single another side of the story, another side of invention, that is the artificial intelligence. That is what you and I always talking about. That is where we live today. You take your mobile phone, you take your vehicle, you go wherever, it has a brain inside. So this particular small or rather, how could I say, I don't know whether to call a human or a robot. We'll call it as robo. Sophia managed to get the citizenship from Saudi Arabia in 2000, as far as I can remember, 2018 October. And today she is or rather, she is the first ever robo who got the citizenship. That's a different story. But this particular robo can, I mean, you just see the facial expressions. Many of us can't really express ourselves through the face. We definitely need to have a computer. We definitely need to have a laptop to express our feelings. You need to send emoji, because you don't know how to express your feelings from your face. But this robot, you just, I mean, you go to the internet and type Sophia and see how Sophia is expressing the feelings through the feeling through the face. It's amazing. So you can see today we are much more advanced. When I was a kid, I actually I was dreaming a day where the robots and people are fighting. That was only in the television, in films, where these created stories. Today, the history is, I mean, that dreams are real, because we have robots who got the citizenship. Amazing, amazing, really amazing. Well, from that, with the same artificial intelligence note, I'm going to talk about one single person. I'm very sure I'm not going to ask who's this guy. He's a very respectable politician from the world. I don't I personally I don't respect. I mean, I know there are a lot of respectable politicians, but the majority are not really. But they deserve to get the respect. So it's a different story. But out of which, this politician is a respectful person because of one single thing he did in his political arena. That is, I mean, once he get to know that he is not capable and fit enough to do the ruling or do the give the leadership to Japan, he left. He resigned and he left the office. So is Mr. Abe. Actually, I met him. That was again in 2018. I was fortunate to attend one science and technology conference which was held in Japan. I was basically selected among the Sri Lankan when I was introduced. We were talking about this the World Academy of Science. Because of that particular award, National Science Foundation, they sent me to this particular forum, and I was really lucky to hear this man at that particular conference who's coming and delivering the keynote speech. So he was talking more than 1.5 hours. Actually, his speech was 1.5 hours, and throughout these 1.5 hours, he was talking about this thing. You may wonder what the hell this particular guy was talking about a tractor. So actually, really speaking, he was talking about a tractor. But this particular tractor is different than what you and I can see in the field in Sri Lanka. This tractor can communicate each other while keeping 1 inch distance and can do the farming. So that is all about artificial intelligence. So these tractors have brains and they can communicate each other. That's how they maintain the 1 inch gap and they can do the farming. Isn't that, I mean, interesting? And with lot of wow factors. Well, yes, it has a lot of wow factors. I was really amazed to see his presentation. I was so fascinated about the technology which was developed by the Chinese inventors, and he was talking 1.5 hours about the tractor, and I was dreaming even after that until I come to Sri Lanka. So that was, let's say, yesterday and today. Just after the event, I had to leave Japan, so I was traveling from their main city Tokyo to their airport, and in the train, I met a nice, beautiful family in the same compartment, and there were only few people in the compartment, and I was sitting on the other side of the compartment, and this family was, I don't know how they catch my eyes. It's a different story. Don't ever think that I took this particular image just because of this beautiful mother. No, that is not the reason. There was a reason behind. I'm going to tell that to you now. So I was sitting on the other side. I was traveling with them more than 1 hour and 10 minutes, and I was observing them. I managed to get my mobile phone and I took a photo without letting them to know that I captured them. If they get to know I'm still in the jail in Japan. So the reason behind of this particular image, or taking me taking this particular image, is this. Throughout this 1 hour and 10 minutes, the mother, she was holding the mobile phone from both hands and she was working with the phone. Father, he has one hand with the phone, the other hand he was holding the prank. Well, that is very common in Sri Lanka even now, right? Even a couple, I mean, those days when I was at the university, I have seen many couples, but today couples are there sitting each other and they are working with the mobile phone. Well, that is the technology you and I talking today. But most interestingly, this kid, he was looking the backside of the phone all these 1 hour and 10 minutes. He was looking the backside, not making a single boom noise. He was so silent. The previous day, Abe was talking about a technology while keeping 1 inch can do the farming while communicating. The next day, the previous day, or the next day, I saw a couple touching each other, a family, right, touching each other, spend 1 hour and 10 minutes without communicating each other. If you think this is the technology, I'm sorry to say, I don't want to say, this technology crossing the Indian Ocean and reaching this beautiful country. But still, we are much more developed than this so-called development with the modern day technology. So if you're expecting me to do a speech on this, I'm sorry, I don't want to see this technology coming and hitting the beautiful country which you and I live today. Different story. That is one side of the story. So today, due to this global warming and A lot of human actions. You can see, you can feel, you can smell the disasters happening in the world. I have seen recently one Nobel laureate. He was talking and he was telling there's no more inventions and innovation happening in the world. It's all disruptions. It's very obvious. You can see what is happening to the world. I'll show you one good example from China. This is China main city, one of their main city before the lockdown, and this is after the lockdown, or the rather 14 days of after the lockdown. Your left hand side, the side of the image shows the real the impact of the man with all these inventions and innovation, the what the man has done to the world. And the sorry, the that is the right hand side. The left hand side shows the same thing done by the nature within 14 days. I don't know which side you want to stay, which side really you want to pick or select to stay. I prefer the left side than the right side, so that is my choice. So those are not the real challenges as next generation. I mean, you have a big challenge on energy, food, and water. You need, population is growing faster. You need more energy, more food, and more water. So those are the challenges out of which that is why you need to talk about the invention, innovation, and taking them to the communities. Invention, innovation, and taking them to the communities. Let me take this point to explain you the difference between invention and innovation. Well, I was telling you can be an inventor, but if you don't take them to the community, it is not a successful invention. You can call you are inventor, but you are not a successful inventor. I have seen many people, I mean, they're talking about rocket science, they're talking about the nanotechnology, nanofilms, everything. But those technologies should reach the community. Then only you can proudly say you are an inventor. So let me explain the difference. You may still wonder what is the difference between this invention and innovation. Let me explain with a small cartoon example experience from my childhood again. When I was a kid, there was an interesting cartoon in the TV that is called Roadrunner. I'm very sure you may have seen them at least through the YouTube. So in this particular Roadrunner cartoon, we have two key characters. One is a Roadrunner, that's a cop, and the other character is a fox. So the Roadrunner can run fast. I mean, unbelievably fast. You can't ever think of catching the guy by running. Running or chasing him behind him. So the fox never be able to catch him. So the fox was a real good inventor, right? He was a really good inventor. So he was inventing a lot of ways and means to catch the Roadrunner. And sometimes he invent rockets to fly in a parallel, or rather the horizontal line, horizontal plane, than in a going up and down, right? So that much he is innovative, inventive, but he never was able to catch the Roadrunner. So he invents stuff, he create many stuff, right? Like many of these inventors who are in the country, so they invent stuff, but those inventions are not really capable enough to cater the requirement. So the requirement was to catch the Roadrunner, but they fail. I mean, he failed to catch the Roadrunner, and we can't call him as a innovator. He's an inventor, but he's not an innovator. So if you are to be want to be an innovator, you need to convert your invention to a successful product which can be used by at least one single person. That is the difference between invention and innovation. To take an invention to an innovation level, that's a big process. Sometimes, if you are really talented, you will be able to do that on your own. Otherwise, you definitely need to have a team. You can't be an innovator without having that particular background around you. So that is the difference between invention and innovations. I mean, I'm sorry to say, Sri Lanka, many of the people, even starting from the topmost people, I can give you one simple example from the Science and Technology Ministry, that in English it called Science, Technology and Innovation Ministry, but in Sinhala, Vidya Thakshana Saha Nama Nipav Mamatyansha. So you can say in Sinhala they call Dell, English they call Paul. So they don't know the difference between invention and innovation. So we are living in a country where the people doesn't know the difference between invention and innovation. And the people who can say, okay, wow, yes, 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 invention and innovation are the same. You can use whatever the word you want. They can be in the system. Those who start pointing the mistake, they have no say in the country. But that is not the case. If you need to correct them, otherwise you can survive by saying yes, but saying no, you can make sure the next generation is survive in their proximity. So that is what I'm trying to do with you all. So invention and innovation, there are a lot of levels. You can do incremental changes. Okay, you have the invention and you have the product, you do a small incremental change, still it's an invention. And you can do a radical change, right? That's an invention. It's a different form. And you can do a disruption. Even you can disrupt the whole the technology, and you can come up with another invention. So there are a lot of stuff which we can talk about invention and innovation. But what you need to understand is invention and innovation are two different terms. And especially in an era where we stay today, that is this industry 5.0 stage. We were just passing the digital era. We started with in 70s, late 70s, we started the real industrial revolution with steam and water. So from that we came up to digital era. But the future and today, actually, even though I said today it is beyond that. It's the industry 5.0. In industry 4, actually, we were always trying to digitalize the stuff. We wanted to bring the machines, we want to bring robots. Yes, that was that era, and we are just past that particular era. We have moved to industry 5.0. Industry 5.0 is a real tricky point for a country like Sri Lanka, because we have the real the wealth and the value to capture the market in industry 5.0. You go and study industry 5.0 at a different scale, but I will just brief what it is. Industry 5.0, again, we are bringing the human aspect to the industry. Those who are working with the robots and this artificial intelligence, they found, yes, we need to bring back the human or the natural brains back to the industry. And we were talking about the social innovation than the technical innovations. So where many Sri Lankans, many of us, we have that in our genes. So it's if we can tackle this particular revolution, I'm very sure we are there and we can be a developed country in no time. So, but only thing is we have to have a backbone, and we should stay away from this slavery mentality. Well, all these things I was talking to you are not really computer jail marks. They were really happening in the world and in Sri Lanka as well. So from that, let me this is what I was what the people were expecting. Okay, you're from the monkey to the artificial intelligence. We wanted to go with Sophia. That was what we were expecting, but this is what exactly happened. So every step we put forward, we destroy the nation. So that is what exactly happened to the world. So it's high time for us to turn back. Otherwise, we will definitely going back to where we started. Interesting cartoon. This particular cartoon, it's like your generation. You are talking to the sun with your words. So the kids talk to the sun and says, look, you go to your settings, go to display, reduce your brightness. It's really hard to live. It's really hard. Sun replies and says, I'm sorry, I haven't done any changes to my setting. Please go to your settings. You increase the number of trees. You change the building cross section. You reduce the concrete jungles. And in a simple way, Sun says, please, you go to your human mode from your auto mode. Sorry, you understand you are not a human anymore. You are automated guy. So you are in the auto mode. So you need to go back to the human mode. Then only you will understand that you have not done the right thing, and the sun has not changed his settings. It's you who have changed the settings just because being a inhuman or being in the auto mode. So that cartoon has millions and billions of things for you to understand. If you change, if you forget your foundation, that is what exactly happened to the country. So if you change your foundation, whether you are an engineer, whether you are a doctor, whatever, wherever, you are not successful. You can't be a successful person without having a strong foundation, without knowing the meaning of a foundation. So this is not the right audience for me to talk about, but you should have to have a strong foundation and never ever forget your the basis that is a must to become a successful person. Well, I was talking a lot about icings. Now I'm going to the real cake. It is about myself. If you are to be a successful inventor or innovator, you need to follow people. Following is not really imitating, but you need to copy. I have done a lot of copying, and I have copied many people in the world. So copying is okay, but don't imitate people. Copying is not copying and pasting. You need to copy, put it here, and apply with your creativity. Then you can be creative. You can be innovative. So in my life, actually, this is what exactly I was doing. Not that I was giving this is I'm not always having showers. That is not what I want to show. But I always try to find a solution in a natural way, or in a near natural way. Let me show you in the same in a different way, like this. I don't know whether you can hear the noise. Let me I think let me stop sharing, and sorry, let me share it with sound. I think so. This is exactly what I was doing. I'm very sure you can hear now. So this is exactly what I was doing. So I get the natural issue and try to put a rhythm from my end, and finally that was become a successful product. So that is what I was doing. Uh, uh, right. So from that, let me go to where I started. People sending questions, asking for cartoons. Well, I will definitely share with you. So this is where I started my life, my invention career. You may wonder what I was trying to tell with this Westmoby. Westmoby is a creature who has changed the whole cross section of my life. So Westmoby, he gets the clay with excess water mixed with saliva, and he created a tiny thin wall for his next generation, and that wall was not lasted beyond another generation. So that is how this Vespucci built his home for the next generation. That triggered my life. It's a different story, but the buildings which I showed below. I mean, to tell you, those are the most comfortable houses which have ever lived in my life. Still, many of you, if you have not experienced the comfort of these houses, please go to this village vicinity. Still, you will be able to find one or two houses with this material, with this context. To go inside, you will not be able to get the same feeling by even staying we'll say 5 star or 6 star or 7 star hotel. Believe me, you go and stay a single night in a house like this, you will feel the difference. So all these things finally matters me to come up with my first invention. Beyond that, this creature, this bird, I mean, he's little bit different to the Vespapi, which I was showing in the previous slide, that Rankumbala. This guy, again, he get the same clay, and he mix the clay with lot of water, high water content, but he add the grass to the soil, and he's making a strong home than the Vespapi. So all these things which from the nature, from the atmosphere, or from the environment, managed to come up with my first few inventions. So I was working with natural resins, natural polymers, industry based. Because I'm a person who's more into the circular economy than the linear economy. I'm very sure you know the difference between circular economy and the linear economy. If you don't know, please go and Google what I mean. Because I'm a person who always loved to be with this circular economy. I didn't want to leave the loop without getting the maximum output. So I was doing a lot of experiments, not myself, my team. Actually, I had a very I mean, I'm really proud as a researcher because always I get the best out of best. I mean, best students in the university, best students from the country, not from my university, from all over the country, the private and the state. I don't mind if the student is having the creativity, irrespective of his class, irrespective whether he or she being the best of holding a first class. If he or she has the creativity, always there was a chance for him or her to come and work with me. So that is how I started my research career, and that is how I created. And finally, this is what I did with the community. So my first patent was mud concrete block. I didn't stop at that particular point. The mud concrete block, the patent was further developed for different applications. I was doing continuous mud concrete walling, texture wallings, and all these things, but patents later. But the initial patent was the left hand side bottom, that small block with soil, and that was taken, actually that has taken me many miles forward with a lot of international and national awards. And that was not done by myself. As I told you, it was a team. If you want to become a successful person, working in a team and working in the right team with the right people is very much important. So this is my team for these inventions. Moving forward, this termite nest. So that triggers me to develop another beautiful invention, and this is the most comfortable, naturally air conditioned, naturally ventilated structure in the world. Natural structure. So I use the same technology, same concept, and developed a passive air conditioning system with clay. So there are a lot of experiments done, and finally managed to get the patent and transfer the technology to the industry. So that is about the natural passive air conditioning system. And this place is a very interesting place. This is Sigria catapult powder. This mirror wall is again very interesting. I'm not going to talk about the engineering behind the catapult powder, but this catapult powder, let's say I'm King Kashyap, I'm just working on the catapult powder. Your left, the right hand side, you have the beautiful paintings, and he wanted to see the same painting, the mirror or the image of the same painting in his left hand side as well. So he created the wall. He didn't stop at that particular point. He finished the wall where you can act as a mirror. That's why I call it therapeutic powder, mirror wall. So that the reflection still you can see. I mean, you can still see the same reflection is still there even after 1,500 years. So just imagine how much they're creative by selecting the material and applying them in the correct way. So this triggers me to come up with another new invention with clay. This is water alum sludge. So we mix water alum sludge with a lot of natural and artificial chemicals, and finally we managed to get the same finish, same texture, same quality, which the color and the shine was never vanished, never lost. So the color will never lose because you are working with the same natural colors. So you can say, if you are working properly, if you are reading the nature properly, you can do wonders. That is about the wall finishing. From that, the flooring. So we started with the walling, we then moved to the wall putty. Now the flooring. You can see the quality of the flooring with soil and clay, external and internal as well. So all these creations were done with my team and with a lot of experiments, a lot of testing, a lot of labs and field experiments, and finally the application. This goes to the community, and finally people started using them and getting the real value of the inventions what we have done. So creating an invention is something, but taking the invention to the community is very much important. If you don't take your invention to the community, that invention has a lesser value than invention which has taken into the community. So that is what I was talking. Maybe for money, maybe free of charge, you need to transfer your technology back to the community. So these are two other examples, and we stop at that particular point. So we try to change the building form by doing various forms. with a lot of computer simulations, actual simulation, and finally we managed to create slabs without reinforcement with 100% soil. So you can see where are we now. So all these things again are not done by myself, with my team, and the team. I think I should give the due respect to these people, and some are from state, some are from private institutes. Well, I'm moving to the next interesting topic about timber. I'm not going to talk about the timber history. So again, even this the invention, we were doing a lot of things starting from decoding from all structures. I wanted to create a natural timber preservative technique with leaves. So we were studying a lot of things, and finally, we managed to decode the history from where we started, from the history, a nano treatment technique out of the leaf extracts from Sri Lankan trees, and that preservation can work much better than the artificial timber preservative techniques in the country and in the world. And my team is not scientists always. You can see Professor Raj Somadeva. Raj is a, he's working with the ancient structures. He is not a scientist, but his experience and the knowledge was really matters when we were developing this thing. So beyond that, this is not single set of actions. I never wanted to stick to one particular area. You can see, you can judge, you can smell that. Because I started with clay, I went to timber, now moving to the coastal structures, from land to the ocean. So this is another ongoing research, and we are trying to create structures in the ocean, again within the circular economy, uplifting or upcycling the waste material in the country. And finally, we have actually managed to plant corals in the sea, and today they are live and they are really working. So these are some practical examples. So we were really doing them in our coastline, and we planted them, and today we can see the corals are growing in these structures, and these the animals started living in our structures. So this is another success, not to the community, not to the people, but going large to the animals as well. So our benefits are going to them as well. So all these things, again, we had local and international people working together, but all these things are happening in the lab at University of Moratuwa. So beyond that, if you really want to be a world-class person, you need to work with other universities as well. So it's going across the border. If you can trust them and start working with masters with other universities and other countries, you can be an internationally recognized inventor. Socially, I mean, you can basically transfer your knowledge to an international community, a vast community, a bigger or a wider community will get the benefit. So if you don't know where you are now, I'm sorry to say, you'll not be able to judge where you want to be in your future. So that is a very important thing in your life for you to understand where you are today. If you know where you are, you will be able to predict where you want to be. So in my life, actually, you may have seen me, my success only, and everybody was talking about my success, but there were a lot of failures in my life. Failure is not a real fail. I mean, that is the first attempt in learning. If you want to be very creative, failing is a must. I mean, unless you fail, you can't be a successful person. Let me take one last example from the world. This is Okinawa Beach, Japan. In 2011, they lost the corals. They decided to plant corals back in Okinawa Beach. You can see today it's a thick coral jungle. So if you do the right thing with the right team at the right place at the right time with the right attitude, you can be a successful person. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Rangika. I'll be taking it from here. Sonal Disanaika.
Yes, Sonal.
Thank you, Professor Rangika Halvaturo. After that enlightening session, I believe I'm not alone in saying that my outlook on inventions and innovations has certainly changed for the better. And next, we've got the Q&A session based on the questions that our viewers entered into the Q&A forum during the session. So will you be able to answer these for us?
Yeah, sure, Buddha. I'll say it.
So I'll be asking them from you now. Are there inventions we lost patents to because of political influence?
I'll get your point correctly, Buddha.
So our viewers want to know if there are inventions to which we lost the patents to because of political
No, I don't
influence.
think. Any politician can stop a person getting a patent. That is a right deserved by anybody. I mean, you will be able to fight. I can remember my first patent was rejected by the intellectual property office. I mean, that is very normal. You can there will be a lot of rejections in patent process. But you can fight back. You can argue. You can clarify. You can justify that you deserve to get the patent. Sometimes. You will not be able to understand because this is novel. This is not existing anywhere. This particular knowledge. So sometimes they will misunderstand your knowledge. So you need to justify yourself properly. Because that was my first patent. I was not properly done the patent document that was rejected, saying the technology is existing. So I had to fight back. I had to correct my documents, and I can get it. So I don't think any political influence is there to get the patent. But I'm very sure commercializing the patent, there are a lot of resistance, there are a lot of political resistance in this country.
Thank you, sir. And the next question: what's the best invention in Sri Lankan history?
Wow, that is very complicated. I don't want actually. I want to remain silent because I'll not be able to pick and say this is the best invention, because otherwise, if I do that, I will do a real injustice to the inventors or the real innovative community in the country. So let me be silent, because I'll not. I mean, to me, I mean, as an inventor, I will always say. My inventions are the best in the world. I mean, that is how an inventor always think. Always, they should have to have that particular self prestige. They should believe what they does and what they created. So everybody, all inventors, if you ask from me what is the best, yes, that is my invention. That may be a different for someone else. That self esteem has to be there with the invention. That's how you started developing yourself. That's how you develop your technologies to a different level. That's a different story. At the same time, you should be humble enough to understand if you are justified and say that okay, your invention is not so good. You should be able to or rather you should be humble enough to respect the view of the other party until you were confirmed that your invention is not up to the level you believe your invention is the world best. So I think that's enough.
Yes, thank you, sir. Third question: how can we introduce our inventions to the public?
Well, how can we introduce our inventions to the public? There are a lot of ways and means. Actually, it's not a straightforward process. You have to do a lot of homework before you introducing invention to the public. Even I mean, I really love to take this particular question little back as well. Now, let's say before you talked about introducing an invention to the community, you had to think about which invention you need to do. That is another big question. I mean, if you can't pick which sort of invention you are going to do, you will not be able to think how you are going to rather take that invention to the community. Now, let's say you just get some idea at your dream, and next morning you wake up and you started developing it. Yes, you have the product, and next day you get the patent and you are going to forcefully impose that to the community. That is not going to work. Let's say the entire country, the government is going to put forward all their GDP, because I mean GDP towards this particular product, and force the people to get. Still, that is not a sustainable way forward, because people will not accept it, because that is not their priority. But if you can find invention based on the national need, based on the community need, based on what they expect, by going through their what we call their priority order, you don't have to find ways and means of marketing your product or taking the product to the community, because that will automatically happen, because there's a need. Such, if you create something which has a need, then you have a market. It's automatic. Let's say the COVID. I mean, you create something. Let's say a drug for COVID. You have 7.8 billion population waiting for that particular invention. So you don't have to put another new effort to market that particular invention. So the effort you have to put to market the invention is purely based on the type of invention you have created and based on how you initiated that based on what? If you can read if you can smell the sense of the public, you don't need to take an extra effort to market. But if you have done something which the community doesn't want, how much you try, you will not be able to commercialize that particular product. So that is my personal experience. I mean, that is what I can tell you as well.
Thank you, sir. And for the next question, now we wish to know if it will be possible for your own inventions, the mud blocks and the others, to completely revolutionize the construction industry in Sri Lanka.
Again, I mean, as a person, as an inventor, so I personally believe, yes, it's possible. So I'm trying my best, and there are a lot of institutes who are supporting these things. I mean, especially I should remember, I should point my research team. It's not one single person, or rather even sometimes the patent will go with a few names, but the team is bigger than that. My research team, my program lab, that community, my non-academic staff, my other academic staff, colleagues in the university, and as a university as a whole. And I should mention the National Science Foundation. They are behind us and they are supporting us. I think each and every citizen of the country, this 22 million population in the country, they have spent on my inventions, all my inventions. I think I have a duty to pay them back. So that is what I'm doing. I think I hope that I'll be able to do a revolution in the construction industry, especially at least housing industry, where people look for sustainable and low cost houses. I don't want to call them as low cost houses, but these are green products where you can feel the real comfort of where you stay.
Thank you, sir. And for the last question for tonight, what would you personally, sir, say are some of the more important discoveries that led to breakthroughs in history?
I think I took the first science from the cartoon, and I said the breakthroughs are the first three: the pointing stick, the fire, and the wheel. Out of which there were a lot of I mean, lot of great inventors in the history, and they are very competitive and very subjective. As a civil engineer, I may pick some civil engineering invention, while someone will say, okay, the electrical will I mean. They are the best, and who has changed the world history. But I, as one of the slides stated, I mean, there were a lot of revolutions in that particular line from the steam to industry 5.0. So all these things are based on one particular invention. The steam engine has done a big change. Nuclear power. So all these things, even the small filament light have changed the world. Even the LED now today, everywhere you can see the LED. And and we were talking about the digital era. So the digital era was based on the IT and the chips. So like that, there are a lot of inventions in different fields. So I don't think I'll be able to pick one and say that okay, those are the groundbreaking inventions happening in the world.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Professor 𝕬𝕐 once again for clearing our last remaining doubts.